I made this video a couple weeks ago talking about the parameters in the 40-gallon aquarium, and there were several comments talking about how my phosphate reading was way too high. And so I just wanted to talk about what should your phosphate reading be in a reef tank? Is 0.18 some crazy high number? Is my tank about to just implode on itself? So I took another reading to show you guys what it currently is at, and I got a reading of 0.124. So it's a little bit higher. Why do people even care about phosphate in a reef tank? The main reason I think is because people see it as a way to try to control algae. They want to have super low phosphate, and by having super low phosphate, you'll never have algae growth. And that's just simply not true at all. I think it also stems from the fact that if you measure PO4 in an open ocean, your phosphate levels are going to be really low. And what's surprising is even though they're really low in the ocean, you still have algae growth. And as you could see, the glass was really dirty and there was algae growth in this tank. And in every single reef tank, there's going to be some amount of algae growth. You're never going to be able to fully control it. Now, I'm not saying to neglect your tank and never do your water changes. All I'm saying is that you're going to have some amount of film algae on your rocks or your glass. It's going to grow somewhere. It's just going to happen. Really, the best way to control algae is with microcrustaceans and snails and fish like this algae blenny. Having organisms that are constantly eating the algae is the best way to fight against it. But does phosphate harm corals at all? And I'm going to show you some clips of the corals that are in my tank currently, and as you're going to see, they all look pretty good. The thing you need to understand about corals is that they have a type of algae that lives within their tissue. And that algae also needs phosphate in order to produce energy for your corals. If you read any of the forums, you'll see a lot of people talking about how you need to have super low phosphate in order to keep corals. And I subscribed to that mentality for a while. And I had nothing but problems when I was trying to keep a reef tank. And it was really frustrating because I couldn't keep anything alive and I was just struggling with every single coral that I would put into my aquarium. And it was up until the point that I just kind of gave up and just decided to let the tank do whatever the tank was going to do. That was when I started to actually have a successful reef tank for the first time. And as I've been in the hobby longer and longer, I've read about stories of people having 1 part per million of phosphate in their reef tank, and they have corals and they're very successful at what they're doing. And there would be a lot of people that would freak out about that and tell them that they're absolutely wrong and that that's impossible. You can't do that. Having a phosphate reading of zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.2 really is not that big of a deal. Your corals will grow perfectly fine in that environment. And I would argue that they would grow better in that environment than if you tried to run ultra low nutrients.